I showed you how to make a hyperlapse, but I didn't add the sound design or the overlays or anything like that. And so this is part 2, how to edit hyperlapses in Premiere Pro, sound design and effects. Okay, so getting right into it, this is the timeline that I showed you on the original hyperlapse tutorial video. I'm going to put that in the video here on the top of the screen so you can go back and watch that if you want. So this is that timeline, and this is the hyperlapse that we made together, just this one right here. I've gone ahead and added these other 4 in here just so I can put them together and throw some sound design on there, and you guys can kind of see like the sound design process of, you know, what sounds good, how to transition from one hyperlapse to the next. Okay, where I get my sounds from is Ocular Sounds. I love Ocular Sounds. There's so many sound packs out there. You can get them from wherever you want. Specifically, I'm using Ocular. A lot of editors that I follow use Ocular or lens distortions. Lens distortion is a little bit pricier because you have to pay for like a subscription. Ocular Sounds is just you buy the packs and then they're yours. In your project file, you have your hyperlapses, and again, I've got 4 of them here, and I think I want this one first, and so we're gonna move these around. We're going to pull these first. Now, something cool that you can do with this type of hyperlapse or any hyperlapse when you're moving towards something is I want to move away from it, but then I want to move closer to it again. And so I'm going to Command copy this. I'm going to scoot these over and then Command V, paste that there. Put it right next to it, and then while this one is highlighted, I'm going to Command R and reverse the speed. Oh, can't reverse the adjustment layer, so just the clip. Command R, reverse the speed. And now this one is going to be going backwards. It needs to render. That's why it looks kind of like a little wonky. It's like my favorite word now. Whenever I reverse something, I always remove the first frame of it. And so we're going to do that. So you see how, doesn't that look sweet how it like goes back into it? That's one thing I like to do with some of my hyperlapses. So we're gonna click O to add an out point on the timeline, and then Command Enter to render this, just to look at it with it being rendered, and then Option X to clear that. I like it. Okay, so that's the first one. The next one we're gonna do, because this one's first going towards the object that you're like the logo, this one is spinning around it. It's nice to change up like the direction of your hyperlapses, so we're gonna do this one next. One way that I edit is this is my next clip, and so I just raise it up above whatever's here, just so I know that these clips here have nothing to do with these clips here. That's kind of how I organize my timelines. So now this is rendered, and it already has some effects on it. I'll go over that in just a second, but we're going to see how that looks. That looks pretty sweet. So I think that looks awesome. So now that this one's spinning right to left, we have another moving forward and another moving forward. Moving forward hyperlapses, like going into an object, are really easy to transition into each other because with the added motion blur, you can just, you know, put them next to each other and they can transition into each other really good. So this is the next one we're gonna do, and then we'll do this last one here. Okay, so let's see how this looks. It's all rendered, that's what this green line means, and so let's see how this looks. Looks great. A little heavy on the effects here. I do have like a little bit of a zoom spot right there where it kind of scales up, but I think I want to remove this effect right here. As you can see over in your effect controls, this has an invert effect on it, And so we're just going to turn that effect off and see how this looks. See how that went red? That means it's not rendered. So now we're going to Command Enter again. I like to render when I'm doing heavy effect stuff like this. You don't always have to render it, but if it's red, you want this line to at least be yellow, because then it's like semi-rendered, semi-not. It can at least play through, but I like to just have it at green so I see exactly what I'm looking at. And I have my my program window on full resolution just because I have a Mac powerful enough to see it. I'm not using any proxies, but yeah, so that's my setup right there. So let's see how this looks now. Okay, I think I like that better without the flash right there. And it grows a little bit right there, and that's okay. I kind of like how it zooms in, because I can add a sound effect right there to add to it. We have our timeline in order. Now we're going to do the sound effect part. So in Premiere Pro, on the left side of your timeline here next to these microphones, anywhere you can right click on it and you can do add tracks. So this is going to add tracks to your video tracks and your audio tracks. I always like to have a lot of tracks to play with. I am going to do some overlays on these, so we're going to add 4 just to be safe, and then 4 on the bottom as well. And then if I shrink these, you can see how now there's a total of 8 tracks in the audio and a total of 8 tracks in the video. So we can put our overlays here, like our screen burns or our flashes or grain or anything, or adjustment layers if we need them. We can put those here. And then down here we have room to work with our audio. So what we're trying to do is we want to go from this hyperlapse with some effects to this hyperlapse with some effects, some overlays, and some audio. We need to add the audio in there to really be a part of it, right? So what you're going to do back into your timeline, over in your project bin, I have this folder here called sound effects. I love to be organized. If you organize your folders, it will save you so much time while you're editing, so please do that. So I have this bin, and it's labeled sound effects, and then I have overlays here, so we're going to use that in just a little bit. The sound effects, I have a bunch of different sound effects that I use in here. I'm going to open Ocular Sounds. So this Ocular folder has bass drops, camera shutters, cinematic stone, long whooshes, metal risers, powerful, like a bunch of different sounds. And I have more than this, but these are the main ones that I use for hyperlapses. And using these, you really just kind of dig through them and find what looks the best for the movement, for the motion, and you just kind of play with it and you build it. I know a lot of people do sound design where they're doing it like they'll start with the whooshes, and then they'll start with the like the Foley effects, and then they'll start with the music or things like that. And I do that for a little bit more longer serious edits. If I'm editing like a 20-30 second clip and it needs a lot of heavy sound design, for hyperlapses I just kind of find what works good, move it around, see if I like the feel of it. So we're going to do that. If you look in my other folder here with the audio, this top layer is a medium whoosh that you can see right here. So we're going to go into our long whooshes here, and we're going to see which one I used. Nope, it's in the short whooshes right here. So it's probably that one. We're going to click it, yep, medium whoosh, dark, deep, and we're just going to hear it. Alright, so that sounds like a lot of just like environmental, and so we're going to put that on there and see how it does. I like that for the first part of the moving backwards, but we don't really need it as much into the whoosh effect. We're going to cut it with C right there, and I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. So I think I want to start into that whoosh, not really the buildup. So we're going to remove the buildup and scroll that over. I think that sounds okay, but remember that's just going to be kind of like a background noise. And so now we have that one there. This cinematic stone pack, I use that a lot for these. So let's open that up. You can see these blue ones. Those are the ones that I've already used. So we're going to click this, see what it sounds like. I don't like the beginning, but I like this part right here, where it sounds like rocks are kind of falling. So we're gonna end that and out it right there. drag this audio over and see how that sounds. So that already adds a lot more right here with that movement. It's a little loud, so I'm going to click G and turn down the gain a little. So I like it, but now with this movement side to side, we need to add a little bit more just kind of in that area to show that movement. As you can see from this one, that audio here has a lot of different audio playing right here, and this one kind of starts on that. So we're going to check that out. So this is, it looks like it's from that rock one. This is Heavy Rock Crackles Tone. Let's listen to it. Oh yeah, right there. That's definitely like a side-to-side movement sound, I think. And so we're going to, I think it's right there. Yeah, it's right there. So this is in our Cinematic Stone folder. We're going to go back to our timeline that we're building, and I want that. We're going to use I for in and out point, about right there, and then O for out point, and then you can drag just this part that you've highlighted. So we're going to drag that over, and let's start it maybe a little bit before it starts to kind of build it up. Fade it in a tiny bit. So we're not doing the exact one that you hear here. Well, it'll be a little bit similar, but I'm just kind of building this naked with you guys. It's very loud, so we're going to click G, turn it down a little bit. So that adds a lot of motion sounds already. I'm going to pull this out a little bit more and fade it in a little bit longer. I like it because that crackling rock sound adds to these effects where the colors change. I like that a lot. So now we have some flashes right here that I want to put some specific sound effects right when those kind of flashes go off. So we're going to play with that now. On this invert, I like to add camera flash sounds, and so we're going to go back into our camera shutters, and we're just going to kind of try and look through these, try and find one that sounds good. So that could be a good one for both camera shutter effects or camera invert effects. And so we're going to put that there, and then we're going to copy it by pulling it down and not releasing until you hit Option, and then it'll copy it. And we're going to put another one right here so it goes over there and then right at the beginning as well. We're going to turn both of these down a little bit because we don't want that sound to overpower the rest of it. So now you can hear those two sound effects. I'm going to mute everything else up until that, and so you can see what just those sound like. So yeah, so that's that right there. And I like it. I want another kind of motion sound effect right here, but I think something that would work is if we did an overlay instead. So we're going to go back over to our project folders and go into my overlay folder where I've pulled in some acid bite film burns. I've purchased these. I honestly don't remember how much it was. A long time ago. Sometimes I use them for the overlays. Sometimes I use them just for the sound effects, but I like them a lot. So this one looks like this. It's got some crinkling in there. It's got some flashes. It's got that film rotating sound. We're going to pull the beginning of it to about right there. I don't want to use the whole thing. And we're going to pull that overlay into our timeline, and we're going to get rid of the first little part. Now with these overlays, obviously now this is, I'm going to turn this down a little bit too. This is obviously what you're going to see. It's not fitting in my frame, so we're going to right click, go down to fit to frame. And now it's too small, so we're going to effect controls and make it a little bit bigger, maybe about right there. So with this overlay, the way overlays work is once you have it over your footage, go to your effect controls and blend mode, change the opacity blend mode to screen, so you have your overlay over the footage now. So we're going to render that. with Command Enter and see how it looks. I like the sound of it like right here, so we're going to get rid of this first part. And Command Enter to render. I really like that look. I think it gets a little too bright right there. So we are going to cut that part off just to about right there. So now that adds a little bit more sound effects and it adds a little bit more visual effects on top of it. Overlays are super simple to use. You really just put it on to your timeline and click on screen for the blend mode. A lot of people kind of diss on overlays, and for quick things like this, I love overlays like that. And so, you know, you can use them if you want. You don't have to. I don't mind. I don't care if you hate on me for using them. So let's see that. So now we've got some pretty good sound effects going. I want another sound effect like right here, right when it zooms in and then transfers, especially because that flash right there of color. So we're going to go back into our sound effects, into Ocular, and we're going to do the cinematic stone again and listen to some of these other ones that I have on here. I think that could be really cool, so let's try that. I-O to in and out point to highlight it, and let's drag a little bit more, and then we'll fade it out. So we're going to pull some of this off. We're going to fade this out using this little gray box here. Just click and drag it, and if you click up or down, you can change the arc of the fade. So anyway, so we're just going to go pretty much straight down. And obviously turn it down. Most sound effect packs come pretty loud, so we're going to turn that down a little bit and see how it sounds. So that adds, let me show you here. That's what this sounds like right here. So it adds just a little bit, but I like this flashing noise, like right there, but I want it to be more like right here. So we're going to just drag it over a little. I like that a lot. We're going to listen to the rest of it. We're going to pull it over here and fade it in now. I think that looks great. We're going to do a little bit more here at the end, and I think we're pretty much done. So let's just play around with some more sounds. We have some flashes going on here, so let's get another camera shutter sound. And again, I'm just clicking through them and picking whatever one sounds good. That's too slow. That could work. Maybe if I speed it up a little. So in and out point, drag it over. I'm going to put it here. And I'm going to turn it down because I don't want it to overpower the movement sounds. And we are going to speed it up. So I'm going to click R on my keyboard, and this gives you the rate stretch tool, which is right here. And I'm going to shorten this so it speeds it up just a little bit. So there's kind of like that flash sound right there, but there's no effect on this. So we're going to put it more over this invert effect and see how it looks. I think that works great. I think we need a little bit more movement sound right here. Here's the whole thing again. Yeah, I want a little bit more movement sound on this last hyperlapse. So we're going to go back to the cinematic stone, and we're going to just listen for another one. I want a quieter spot though. That sounds great. It's kind of like a downward sound, so, and then it has that little tail at the end, a little bit of a lower. So we're going to pull that, let's go about right there. Remember, it's on this one. I forgot to raise this one up to organize. So yeah, it's on this hyperlapse right here. So let's move this over here and fade it in just a tiny bit. And turn it down with G, change the audio gain, and let's see how it sounds. I think it needs to be a little more to the left. think that looks and sounds pretty good, honestly. However, there's going to be, when I would do a hyperlapse like this, here on the right side is where I would start to build the story. And so I would put some sort of music track on it. This is a volleyball tournament, and so this would like be the coaches talking to the kids huddling up, something like that. To build into that, I'm going to put a riser. So back into our Ocular Sounds sound effects folder, we're going to go metal risers. And again, we're just going to look for one that sounds good. That sounds like it could be good. It's a little long, so we'll start it here. Go to there with our in and out points, and this is going to end right here. So we're going to bring it down and have it end right on that line. Now this is way too much riser, so we're going to turn it down a lot, and we're going to fade it in a lot. So I want that riser to be a little more that way. I don't think I like it, so we're going to delete that and look for another one. Nope. When I'm doing risers, I don't like finding them like this because they end, they hit, and then they have a louder tail. I want them like this where they just end. Now that's a little too much car sounding, so that's a little too soft. I think that could work, so let's do that. We'll start it here, go all the way to the end, and then we're going to again pull that to the end of our clip. Right there. So now it's lined up here. We're going to turn it down, and we're going to fade it in a little bit at the beginning. I think that works. That sounds pretty good, because then right here you would have another impact sound. As you can kind of hear one, but we're going to make another one, and that's normally where my track would start. And so now I'm going to see. So I have some music from some other videos I've edited from this tournament, so I'm just going to grab one. Let's do Jumpman. Let's see if we can. Yeah. So we're going to do it right on that beat. Jumpman, them boys up to something. Okay. Again, we're just doing this for the just the tutorial, just to kind of show you. So that's going to go about right there. So now this track, I'm going to put it up here actually. So now this track is going to start, but it's super loud again, so we're going to turn that down. Right at the track is going to start right at the end of the riser, so now we're going to listen to that. So there's like the build out of creating a hyperlapse in order to build up into the song. I'm not going to play too much of it so I don't get hit with copyright, but I think that works. So I'm going to cut it right here just in case. We're going to fade out the end of these sounds because remember there's going to be footage right here. I'm not putting it here. So one more thing I want to add is a sound effect folder, Ocular Sounds, camera shutters. I want to add a camera flash charging sound, so I have this queued up. We're going to pull that down, and we're going to do it right at this camera flash here. Oh, no, sorry, at this camera flash here, right here. And so now this is what that sounds like. So now it adds a little bit of like, you know, just a little bit more audio, kind of like, you know, camera flashed. Right, we need to line this up a little bit better. So camera flashed here, and then it's going to charge. So let's listen to that again. So I know the Jumpman sound isn't there, but yeah, so that's what that would kind of be like, is this kind of goes into it, and then you just want to fade it out so it kind of drops down naturally. And then the footage is going to be playing, so that's where that part helps. So let's watch it one more time. We're going to full screen this. Let's watch this here. I think that looks great. we have built a hyperlapse together with some sound. I want one more overlay, like right here. It's just a little too plain for me. And so we're going to go back into my overlays. And I'm going to look at this Film Leader vintage graffiti transitions that I have. Again, I've purchased this. You don't have to buy it, but you can go on a YouTube and you could like download videos that are, you know, overlay transitions and just, you know, change the blend mode to screen and they'll work. But for this, I'm going to use one of these. So I'm going to look at these. I think that looks kind of cool, but it's probably a little too long or too big even. So we're just, too much. Yeesh, that's a lot. Some of these are super loud. So let's check this one. That's too short. This one I actually used in the video, so we're going to use this. So I have it highlighted here. We're going to pull this over, make sure it doesn't overlap anything, and we're going to see how that looks. About right there. And turn that audio down a little bit too. Again, we don't want any of these sound effects to overpower the storytelling movement of the video. And render that. I forgot to click blend mode. So remember, effect controls, blend mode, and my baby's crying, so I'm almost done here. He's just waking up. Screen, we're going to render it and see how it looks. Perfect. I love that. Just adds a little bit to it. Even the opening of that circle, like right there, goes over the WSP and the UBVA. So I love it. It looks great. I might even make it a little bit longer. Perfect. I love it. All right. So there's our hyperlapse. So let's watch it one more time. And we've done it. If you wanted to, right here, you could add another like impact sound effect just to add to the end of it. And I will show you that actually just because while I have you here. I don't think I have, oh yeah, right here, deep impacts from Ocular Sounds. I've used a bunch. Let's find one. No, it's too much of a early part. I like this because it just starts. Like there's no build up to it. So we're gonna pull that over, put it right where it ends, and we can go probably because the track will be there. So we'll just go to here and we're going to fade it out and we're going to turn it down just a tiny bit. Almost done, bud. Thanks for being patient, talking to my son. Anyway, so now this sounds like this. So it has a little bit more of that impact sound right there. I'm going to show you what that sounds like without any other sound. Oh, I missed one up here. So this impact sound right here, listen to this. Boom, just a little bit of a boom, boom, right when it changes. I love it. So we're going to unmute all these again. And let's shrink this so you can see that's all of our sound effects right there. That's all of our visual effects, and we're going to check it out. Pretty good. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of this, if you liked the flow of this tutorial. I know all of you guys don't have these packs and these sound effects and everything. I definitely suggest finding a good sound effect pack and purchasing it. I'm not affiliated with Ocular Sounds. I'd love to be, so if you're watching Ocular, please sponsor me. But yeah, so this is our hyperlapse one more time. And that is how you do sound effects and some visual effects with some overlays on your hyperlapses in Premiere Pro. And outro.